Welcome to Robin's Nest, the truth revealed. I am Richard Kuhns, a concerned citizen, and this is Robin.
Hey, I'm
Also a concerned citizen. What are we going to talk about? This is our first recording, so we hope you'll love it. We are political tonight, and we know we're not going to get the staunch Trumpster to switch. We're not here to do that. I don't think there's any intelligent argument that would get them to get off of their fence and away from Trump. But we're here for the people who are kind of undecided, who basically look at the news and rather than look a little bit deeper, just accept it for what it is and may walk away with some untruths. So we're here to take a look at what those untruths might be and to provide a realistic look at what's actually happening. If you look at Mr. Trump, President Trump, I would call him a magician. He's better than Copperfield. He basically has you look in one direction while he is doing his thing in another direction. And you get caught up in the direction that he tells you about and completely are oblivious to what he's really doing. What are we going to talk about tonight, Robin?
Well, I'd like to talk about, still I'm thinking a lot about the executive orders that President Trump released a few weeks ago and the actual effect they're going to have. I want to talk about the post office, and I want to talk a little bit about the Republican National Convention or coronation.
The coronation. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what are we going to talk about? Which one you want to start with first?
It doesn't matter. You pick.
Oh, let's go with the post office.
Okay. All right. So Democrats in the House, we're very concerned because Postal Service has slowed down everywhere. People aren't getting their prescriptions. Businesses are suffering because their orders aren't arriving on time. And President Trump has stated that, well, he said that if everybody votes with mail-in voting, it will be the end of the Republican Party.
That's what he did state, and he said that several months ago.
Yeah, I heard him say it.
Yes, I heard him say it too, and you can go to Snoops and you can check that fact out, and it is a truth. If everybody who could vote, I mean, he is absolutely correct. If everybody who can vote is able to vote, that's the question, able to vote, that will be the end of the Republican Party.
As we know it.
As we know it.
Right. So the House had an emergency meeting and a hearing challenging the Postmaster DeJoy about what was going on because he has taken down post office boxes in various places. He has dismantled.
Now, what do you think? Why do you think he took down? Excuse me. Why do you think he took down post office boxes?
Well, it makes it harder to get things in the mail, but
yeah,
it's just normal that the post office does that periodically. Thing is, he's a big Trump supporter and contributor, and he also owns a part in 2 or 3 businesses that are direct competitors with the post office. He has a lot to gain on many levels if the post office fails.
And I noticed today in the congressional hearing, they asked him if he was involved in the Trump campaign in any way, and he said absolutely not. They further questioned him as to whether or not he has spoken to Trump about the campaign, and he said no. And then he did acknowledge that he had spoken to some people in the Trump in the Trump bus, you know, the campaign bus,
Right.
about the campaign, which is totally inappropriate.
Right. I mean, most of what he told in his life, he also, you know, the post office has sent out notices to, it's either 43 or 46 states saying they're very concerned. They don't think they can get the mail-in ballots to the voting offices in time because of all the slowdowns. He has canceled overtime. He has, he said he was going to take apart, I think it was 650 sorting machines, and he took apart hundreds, not all of them. In the hearing, he said the mail has not slowed down. He also said the mail trucks will leave on time no matter if the mail is in them or not. They have never been able to catch up. Mail is like 2-3 weeks behind. He said there won't be a problem keeping up for the election. And on the 24th, it was uncovered by the House that the delays in the post office started in July, just about a month after Louis DeJoy took over as its new chief. And he had failed to disclose the internal report that that there haven't been any service delays or declines in service. And, you know, he said he's going to stop everything until after the election, but he's not going to reinstate any of the things that he's already caused to happen. So there's still no overtime. There's still trucks are leaving without mail, and the machines are not functioning.
Right. And, okay, so we take away the mailboxes. So what does that do? Your 75-year-old grandmother, who could normally walk a couple of blocks to put her mail in the box is not there. She's going to have to get 5 miles, 10 miles to find the box or the post office. It's a huge impediment to a lot of people who are accustomed to just dropping the mail off in a box on their way someplace or down the street. A big impediment.
And even, you know, look at our military. 90% of the military vote by mail because a lot of them are out of the country. They can't, you know, vote in person for whatever reason. And now the post office saying, you know, register now, register to vote by mail as early as you can, and fill out the thing as fast as you can, and if possible, walk it into your town hall or voting place in person. Make an appointment to do that ahead of time.
Now, where's the smoking mirror here? Where's the smoking mirror? Where's this magic? Have you figured out what the ulterior motive is? I mean, okay, so we're all saying, okay, Trump, he's afraid. He says that it's going to be a lot of fraudulent voting done by Democrats, you know. And it's like Democrats are the only people that are going to vote by mail. Historically,
Trump registered to vote by mail in Florida.
Historically, more Republicans vote by mail than Democrats do. They are as capable as voter fraud, if it is possible, as Democrats are capable of voter fraud. So what's his smoking mirror?
Well,
what's his
one,
ulterior motive?
Going down the mail, and that's going to have an effect on the election if the votes can't get there. But it also paves the way for him to say that the election has been tampered with and the results aren't true.
True, yeah.
So that he can challenge the election results.
So he can challenge the election results, and
right.
We know he would like to do that. Well, anyway, that's an assumption, but it's highly likely to be a reality and a truth. But the post office has been around since the Pony Express, going back past.
It's written into the Constitution. In 1948, they passed a law making it illegal to tamper or hinder the delivery of the mail. And then in, I think it was 1984, it was a Republican administration, passed a law saying that the post office had to guarantee retirement funds for all their workers for 75 years, which is almost bankrupt the post office. If it wasn't for that law, the post office would be in the black, totally.
Thriving, yes.
And,
but the amazing thing is the post office is an incredible organization with a lot of incredible people. I remember when I was a teenager, it was like the guy behind the counter, he was gruff and mean, and you didn't really want to talk to him or ask him a question because you were interrupting his I don't know what. But today, the guys are really friendly. They help you out. They go to all lengths to do everything for you, at least the ones that I have been in touch with. I don't know how they are in Massachusetts, but they're a great bunch of people. And how many, do you have any idea how many people are employed by the post office?
Thousands and thousands and thousands.
Tens of thousands of people, right? And here we are. Trump wants an economic boom. He wants unemployment numbers to go down. And what's he going to do? Put tens of thousands of people on an unemployment line? I mean, does this sound like a person who is empathetic? Does it sound like an empathetic person? I mean, just because he thinks there's going to be voter fraud, we're going to cut down the post office. I don't care about the guy at the local counter. You know, let him go to unemployment. That's what unemployment's for. Let him go find another job.
He doesn't think it's called projection. It's a psychological term. He doesn't think there's going to be voter fraud. Everything he does, he projects on other people.
That's the smoking mirror.
Right.
That's the smoking mirror. He doesn't care. If anything better, he would love his friend DeJoy to have his competitive businesses grow and somehow prosper and maybe take over the postal facilities and have his own Trump post office. The Trump office.
Right.
Yeah, who knows what his ulterior motive is. But he has no compassion. And anybody who votes for this man, really, if he has no compassion for the guy who walks through the rain and the snow to bring you your mail, how much compassion does you think he has for you?
Right. Just none.
Now, what has he done? What has he done for the average blue-collar Republican who hangs out on the corner with big Trump posters and puts Trump 2020 on there? What has he done for them?
Maybe we should talk about the executive orders now.
Okay, let's talk about the executive orders. What's he doing for them? And the people who've lost their jobs because of coronavirus, and okay, we can talk about that too. What involvement did Trump have? There are people who say if he was on top of things, things would have gotten gone 3 to 4 weeks before they actually got gone in this country, and it would have been a blip instead of 175,000. I mean, there are people who say, well, there are people who say, well, these things are exaggerated. Anybody who dies is now classified as a COVID-19. Well, forget it. 177,000 people, fine. If you want to take away 70,000, you're left with 100,000. And you know, he only won the election in 2016 by 70,000 votes. And all those people.
Here's the thing. You have to remember, you know, that is true, but the popular vote is not the issue. The electorate college is the issue, and that's how he could win again.
That's where those 70,000 votes counted.
It isn't policy. It isn't platforms. This election is all about the Trump cult and revealing his lies and the horrible things he has done to this nation to destroy it. And that's what's going to get the electoral votes.
Right. So we've lost over 100,000 people. He won the election by only 70,000. So more people have died than he won the election by. I find that totally.
Well, first of all, I disagree with you in that, you know, for those numbers to be as inaccurate as the conspiracy theorists say, there would have to be, you know, to a death certificate, there's a medical doctor, there's a medical examiner, there's a lawyer, there's legal things that have to happen. There would have to be a nationwide conspiracy in every town and every city between these people to falsify legal documents. I don't think so.
Well, that's kind of their argument, that almost everybody who dies gets classified. So I'm saying give them the benefit of the doubt. Of course, I disagree with them. I mean, my best friend, we were in high school together. He died of COVID-19, absolutely. So give them the benefit of the doubt. There still have been more people who have died, giving them the benefit of the doubt, than by the number by which he won the election in those particular electoral states. And that is sad. Well, anyway, let's get to this executive order.
Okay. All right. So the House had this HEROES bill that it wanted to pass that would give some, you know, would help the post office. It would continue pandemic unemployment for those who are unemployed. And there were other things in the bill, but the Senate.
Well, wait a minute. Let's look at the numbers. The House was willing.
Just give you the background. The Republican Senate couldn't agree among themselves about anything, let alone.
But before we talk about the Senate, what was the House willing to put up? How much money?
For the pandemic unemployment? No, their whole bill was $3 trillion.
$3 trillion. Okay, right. Now let's go to the House.
The House.
The Senate. Let's go to the Senate.
Wanted $2 trillion. I don't remember exactly, but the Senate couldn't agree about anything, let alone negotiate with the House. And so the president said, if you guys can't agree,
wait a minute. Before we go to the president, the Senate was willing to do $1 trillion. So the House was willing to do $3 trillion. The Senate was willing to do $1 trillion, and couldn't even agree on what that trillion was going to do, whether it was going to save the rich people or be distributed among the needy.
Right, right.
And they still haven't figured out what they do. They went on vacation.
I know.
And they're still on vacation.
Well, if the House came back from vacation to do the hearing for the post office.
Right. And what party runs the Senate?
The Republican Party.
The Republicans run the Senate. They couldn't agree even on what to do with $1 trillion to help the Americans. And rather than work it out, they went on Mitch McConnell's vacation.
Right.
While millions and millions of Americans are trying to get their rents paid, their bills paid, their food in the refrigerator, they're on vacation.
Right.
Now, we have a savior, though, don't we? Who's our savior?
Well, he thinks he's, you know, better than sliced bread and better than God.
So, who's our savior? Who rode in on a white horse? Who rode in on this white horse?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. And what does he got to do? First of all, he says the Democrats couldn't agree on anything. First of all, he blames it on the Democrats, ignores anything to do with what the Senate couldn't agree with. He doesn't say, okay, the Democrats want to put up $3 trillion. The Senate only wants to put up $1 trillion, and I'm going to save the day. No, he doesn't tell the truth. He does the smoke and mirrors, blames it on the Democrats, and what does he do?
He writes 3 executive orders that are really horrifying.
I didn't know he could count that high. So, okay, let's go through these wonderful, great executive orders.
Okay, let's talk about, so the first executive order is a payroll tax holiday. Now,
That is a wonderful idea. I don't want to pay payroll tax anymore.
Right, except that that's the FICA tax. That is the tax that pays for Social Security and
The
Medicare.
FICA tax, right. Okay.
Now, a lot of people don't realize when he says payroll tax holiday, he's talking about stopping funding Social Security and Medicare.
Okay, let's stop.
All, he doesn't have the power constitutionally to do that.
Well, let's stop here a moment. Let's stop here a moment. Now, if Trump came out and just said to his constituents, I want to get rid of Social Security and Medicare, what do you think? How many people you think would be voting for him in this election coming up? How many people you think?
Zero.
Right. Okay.
Well, who knows? I mean,
look at the smoke and mirrors. He does want to get rid of Social Security and Medicaid. He tried to get rid of Obamacare, and he wants to get rid of that as well. He wants to get rid of all these programs that my mother, your parents, many of our depend on. We paid into Social Security for years and years and years, and it's the guaranteed nest egg that we all have. He wants to get rid of them. But rather than be upfront with the American public and say, I believe everybody should be rich billionaires like my effing ass and not have to depend on Social Security. Everybody should be able to cheat the government like I have, and I haven't paid any taxes. I got these great fixers to fix my problem so I don't have to pay any taxes. Everybody should be like me and not need Social Security, not need Medicare. Isn't that great?
I don't think he's not saying what everybody should. He just wants more money. But the thing is that his action is patently illegal because the power to levy taxes or change the tax code resides solely in Congress under Article 1 of the Constitution.
But you know how long it takes to work these things out? They've been trying to get his tax records for 4 years now, and they won't get his records until after the election. So he can so forget the legitimacy of anything. He doesn't care about the legitimacy. He wants to defund Social Security. He wants to get rid of Medicare, and some of this money, as you're going to explain, goes to FEMA.
Well, no, that's a separate thing. But
it's a separate thing, but it's part of this package.
So, according to Trump, and a lot of employers are ignoring it because they know it's illegal, but the taxes that pay for Social Security and Medicare are deferred through December. What Trump didn't say is that the workers are going to be shocked because when they have tax bills for next year, for the 2020 tax season, they're still going to have to pay those taxes. Okay? Those taxes haven't disappeared. You're going to owe them, whether they take them out of your check now or you have to come up with the money later.
So there we have the smoke and mirrors. I'm going to give you a bone today.
Wait. Number 2 is that somebody told him that people are going to have to pay those taxes. And so he said, well, if you elect me as president again, I will cancel the payroll tax forever, which he still can't do. But if he did that somehow, actuaries have examined it, and it would mean that by mid-2023, Social Security would cease to exist.
So there we have our smoke and mirrors. I'm going to give you, my wonderful citizen, a bone. You're going to have to pay it back. But if you elect me, quid pro quo, if you elect me, I will give it all. I'll forgive it all. But your Social Security is going to be gone in 2023, just as I want to get rid of it anyway. So that's my smoke and mirrors. I'm going to get rid of Social Security, and you're going to think I'm a wonderful person right now and wake up 5 years from now regretting you ever knew me.
Right.
What's the next one, executive order?
The next one was he said that he would give $400 for the pandemic unemployment instead of the $600 that the Democrats had wanted to put in their bill. However, first of all, he said that the states would have to come up with 25% of that $400, which means that they would have to recreate their whole unemployment system to make that work. Second of all,
and they're already bankrupt. They're already bankrupt.
No state can do that. Congress actually passed a thing saying they could use their existing unemployment to pay their $100 of the $400. But the federal government is taking the $300 that they want to give for pandemic unemployment out of the FEMA emergency fund.
FEMA.
FEMA. We have
so what's going to happen?
Hitting Florida, right? Hitting Louisiana, Texas,
Lake Charles.
Florida.
What's going to happen?
Surges. 3 months. The FEMA. Once all of the states sign on for this, there will be no FEMA emergency fund. It'll be dried up in 3 months. Arizona's already getting their $300 checks from the government.
Smoke and mirrors again. Smoke and mirrors. I'm a great guy, but you have no idea what this is going to cost the country in the long run. I'm a great guy. You know, this again, you know, just a side note. He built this great economy, which is now suddenly collapsed. That he bragged about, and even when he visited the Queen of England, he stood there saying, "And we have the greatest economy that I built in the world." You know, what dignitary goes to another country and brags about his accomplishment? That's totally stupid. But anyway, this great economy that he built, and the smoke and mirrors there. He gave everybody about $1,000 income tax cut when he revamped the IRS and the tax laws. Gave everybody about $1,000 cut. So all of us blue collar workers got $1,000. That's our bone.
Actually, and there were the executive orders actually were 3 memorandums and 1 executive order, because they were more like suggestions, because he doesn't have the power. One memorandum halts federal tax collection. That's the payroll tax for anyone whose biweekly paychecks are below $4,000.
What was that? Repeat that again.
The stopping the paycheck. It halts federal tax collection for anyone whose biweekly paycheck is below $4,000.
Whose paycheck is below $4,000. Okay.
Then the second memorandum, they're not even executive orders. They're like suggestions, is the $400 a week. And then the last one is deferring the collection of student loan payment and waiving interest fees only until the end of the year. And then they're all going to come due.
Right. But this $4,000, if you earn more than $4,000, you don't qualify for this, or what's that?
Allegedly, if you still have to pay into Social Security if you earn more than $4,000 gross. And also these executive orders have nothing to do with like the talk of a second stimulus check, because he can't do that without Congress approving it. And the payroll tax holiday is just a deferment that's going to come due. You know, he's not going to. Even if it's totally illegal to say, if you elect me, I'll cancel this forever. First of all, that's like blackmail.
Well,
and second of all, he doesn't have the power to do it.
He's interfering. Technically, he's interfering with the election by doing that.
Right. I know.
He's promising something he can't do anyway to get votes.
And then there was another one about asking the Department of Housing and Urban Development to look at if evictions are necessary and identifying possible funds to help renters and homeowners. So basically he's saying, hey, you guys, take a look at this. Form a committee. See what you think. It says basically nothing. It says basically nothing because millions are going to be homeless.
So he rode in on this big white horse, and the white horse took a crap.
Yeah, I would say that. I would say that.
So, okay. What else are we going to talk about?
I just wanted to briefly talk about what's going on at the Republican National Convention. I feel like there are some very dangerous things happening there. First of all, it's being held at, a lot of it is being held at the White House, which totally breaks the tradition of an actual convention, and all it is a rally. It's a 4-day rally and celebration of all things Trump, which is wrong. I mean, that's not the purpose of the Republican National Convention. I'm just going to list these things, and then you can. Second of all, everyone who's speaking is talking about the pandemic in the past tense. 1,000 people are dying every day, and they're talking about it in the past tense, like it's done, it's over. And third of all, Republicans at the convention are race-baiting, misstating Democrats' policies, telling outright lies.
Well, they're saying things. They're saying things like
falsehoods and failures.
Well, they're saying things like if you elect Biden, that's going to be the end of the policing in this country. He's going to defend all police. And
Biden has said clearly that he has no interest in defunding police. My favorite is they say, if the Democrats are elected, this country is going to be thrown into chaos, and there's going to be rioting, and there's going to be
Could it be worse than it is now?
Everyone is responding to these things, so they're saying, no, you've got it wrong. All of this is happening while you're president, right now.
You've been in the bunker. The dipshit's been in the bunker.
Right.
He doesn't know what's going on. He just sends in the army.
Right. It's everyone who's spoken at the convention, they're not even talking to Trump's base. They're talking to Trump to feed his ego.
Right. I mean, and who does he have talking? His relatives? His relatives. He had, remember the gun-toting lawyers who stood on their lawn and threatened peaceful protesters walking by? They were talking. He had this one racist scheduled, but unfortunately she blasted out some really bad racist tweets, and they canceled her at the last minute when they found out because it was too bad to put on. I mean, they can't even find notable people, reputable people, to even compliment this guy.
Well, it's because it's all lies. It's all lies. The cronyism is at a reality-bending high. The theme of their convention was supposed to be hope and all this stuff because the virus is over and the economy is back. But the whole focus of it is fear of Democrats and what's going to happen if the evil Democrats destroy America.
They're going to get end religion. Democrats are going to be the end of religion.
It's such a lie. I mean, such a lie. And when you compare it with the Democratic convention, my favorite thing that Biden said, he said, hope is stronger than fear, light is stronger than darkness, and love is stronger than hate.
And that's
Now,
right.
and that comes from his Catholic background. I mean, that's a God-fearing man to me, you know, and he's not bringing religion as a major talking point, but he's living it. And that's, and I think you don't hear anything like that. Trump hires the National Guard to gas and shoot peaceful protesters so he can go stand in front of a church, hold a Bible that isn't even his upside down.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Make a statement. I mean, seriously.
And I bet he's never read that Bible.
Well, I saw an interview where an interviewer said, "What's your favorite Bible verse?" And his response was, "I don't want to talk about it."
Yeah.
I said, "Just tell me one." He goes, "No, that's too personal." And he couldn't even, you know, John 3:16. Everybody who reads the Bible knows that one. For God so loved the world. It's like he couldn't name one Bible verse.
No.
You know, it's really sad.
Smoke and mirrors, nothing but smoke and mirrors, and it's sad that so many people have fallen for it. Of course, you know, Hillary was right. There are a group of them that are a basket of despicables. She was right about that. And yeah, the white supremacist. And what about this other QAnon? What's going on there? What's this?
Eric Trump loves QAnon. So QAnon is this ultra right conspiracy group, and
anything like the Tea Party?
I think they make the Tea Party look like a real Tea Party. Some of the things that QAnon is promoting is that Democrats are cannibals.
Cannibals?
Cannibals, they eat and kill children and eat them. They enslave children and sell them into sex slave trades all over the world. They are all communists. They are hell-bent on destroying our democracy.
Let's stop here a moment. They are communist. All right, that's really interesting, because I've heard Trump and them allude to the fact that if we elect Biden, they're inviting communism into this country, and that's kind of ironic because Trump's best buddy is Putin.
Right, I know.
Doesn't that floor you?
The elephant in the room. Everyone's worried about communism. What about Russia? What about the fact that they interfered with the 2016 election and they're interfering with this one, and he is Trump's idol?
He's doing nothing. Trump is doing nothing about it. And I think a lot of these things you read on Facebook about are basically trolls that put this crap on Facebook.
Well, and unfortunately, a lot of people get their news from Facebook memes, and they don't do any research, and they don't dig into things.
Well, that's why we're here. Hopefully, we'll have more than 2 or 3 people listen to our podcast and to get the truth out there, because people can't just accept what is on the surface. They've got to dig deep like you have. You've dug deep into these things. I look at it, I listen to what Trump says, and then 3 months later, after the pandemic is in full gear, he's claiming that he's doing so much, and yet he showed up like 3-4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks late for the war. He claims this to be his big war.
Right. And you know, they're making fun of the Democrats because the Democrats had a virtual convention, and most of the Republican convention is live. Of course, they're not social distancing. They're not wearing masks.
There's going to be 1,000 people tonight in the Rose Garden and not wearing masks. You know, and they just did the convention what was it, a month or 2 ago in Oklahoma or Arkansas, I forget where it was, and one of his predominant black supporters picked up the virus and died. Where's the empathy?
There is no empathy.
Where's the empathy from Trump? What did he learn? No, he keeps doing these stupid things.
Right, and that's the thing I do love about Biden is that he is compassionate and empathetic. You know, I mean,
empathy.
That little video of him with the 12-year-old boy who stuttered. He was
You're
one
right.
of the people, you know, Trump would just make fun of him.
Biden does this. Biden does this out of love. Trump would just walk over the kid. Oh, that, you know, put that kid in some kind of treatment.
Well, he wouldn't even say that.
Well, probably not. That would be somewhat empathetic.
Right. Right.
So, how are we gonna wind this up?
Oh, I think we've covered a lot of ground this evening, and hopefully food for thought for the people listening in. I don't know. Do you want people to maybe email you comments or things they'd like to hear more about?
Well, we have to figure out how to do that. Maybe I'll discuss that with Chris, and we'll figure out how we can get some interaction going. Because it would be great.
Probably just put something below the video.
You know, I've often asked people, what has Trump done for you? And really, nobody's ever come up with any real responses as to what he's done for you.
Well, I don't think we should ask them that. I think we should ask people what they'd like to hear more about.
True.
For instance, right now, Trump is working even harder to dismantle Obamacare.
That's been a 4-year process.
Lost their insurance.
Yeah.
Health insurance. Health insurance is a huge issue for many, many people, and you don't tear it apart in the middle of a pandemic when you are.
But Robin, the Democrats are nothing but socialists. That's all they want. They want socialism.
Which leads to communism.
Right.
That's a P with a capital P, or a P with a capital P.
We got to get rid of Social Security. We got to get rid of Obamacare. We got to get rid of Medicaid. We got to let people live in caves.
All these social services.
Let them live in caves. Let them go out and shoot buffalo.
Right.
That's well,
right.
Robin, it's been great co-hosting this with you, and this is Robin's Nest.
At the moment.
Tune in. We love to have you come back, and we'll figure out a way to get comments, some interaction going on here. Post us on Facebook. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye. And vote for Biden.
Yes. Yes.
Good night.
Good night.